Good morning, distinguished shareholders. First of all, I must apologize on behalf of the chairman. We're having very serious technical hitches. He has not been able to get connected. And in the circumstance, Reverend Ladele will be standing in for him until he's able to join us. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished shareholders, I'm going to ask Reverend Ladele to assume the position of the chairman, and he will start the proceedings immediately. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are a little past 11 o'clock, with all apologies, and you had our CEO explain to you the reason why we are starting this late. In accordance with the Corporate Affairs Commission guidelines on holding annual general meeting of companies using proxies alongside the restriction imposed by the Lagos State government, limiting gatherings to a maximum of 25 people, the meeting is considered duly convened, subject to a confirmation of same by the registrars of the company. Notwithstanding the social gatherings limitations, in accordance with Article 53 of the Articles of Association of the company, we have now formed a quorum with over 25 members represented via proxies, representing a third of the issued and fully paid up shares of the company present. I would now request the registrar to please confirm that the quorum is formed. Mrs. Registrars, please.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, directors, and esteemed shareholders. My name is Bukola James Cole, and I represent United Securities Limited, the registrar to Niger Delta Exploration and Production PLC. We have in attendance 448 shareholders by proxy, holding 110,880,556 shares and representing 51.04%. With this information, we hereby confirm that a quorum has been duly formed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cole. I thus have the pleasure of welcoming you to the annual general meeting of your company for the financial year ended 31st December 2019. I hereby declare this meeting duly convened. Before we commence the business of the day, let me report with deep regret, but utter submission to God's will, that since our last AGM, we lost one of our directors, Mr. Cyril Odu, who passed away on 17th September 2019. Late Mr. Odu joined the board of directors of NDEP on the 21st of June 2016. During his tenure, Mr. Odu demonstrated an unwavering commitment to the success of NDEP and made many important contributions as a director on the board of NDEP and as a member of the board Audit and Finance Committee, as well as the Statutory Audit Committee, respectively. In the last few months, we have also lost several of our shareholders, including Chief Victor Oyolu, Mr. Macaulay Ofure, and Chief Remi Omotosho. Late Chief Victor Oyolu was an esteemed shareholder and served as the chairman of the Statutory Audit Committee of the company for 7 years, during which period he made remarkable contributions to the progress and development of the company. Late Mr. Macaulay Ofure was also an esteemed shareholder who served as a member of the Statutory Audit Committee for a number of years and equally made remarkable contributions to the progress of the company. Late Chief Remi Omotosho was the former Group Managing Director of Odua Investments Limited. Odua Investments Limited, one of the early investors of NDEP, Chief Remi Omotosho had continued to support the progress of the company over the years, even after Odua Investments ceased to have a representative on the board of NDEP. They will all be sorely missed. I hereby request that we observe a moment of silence in honor of all the dearly departed. May their souls rest in peace. May I call on Alaja Kudaisi to give the opening prayers, please.
I want to thank Almighty God for making today possible for us. I want to thank God for our directors, for the company which we are sitting for its AGM today. May God Almighty take preeminent control of this meeting for us. May He guide our thoughts. May He give us divine direction so that everything that will be said at this meeting will be for the betterment and progress of this company. All these are more I ask for in the mighty name of Allah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا صراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Thank you, Elijah. I would like to inform all members that despite this being a meeting by proxy, in accordance with Section 275(8) of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20 LFN 2004, the Register of Directors shareholding is available for inspection throughout the meeting. I will now call on the Secretary to the company to read the notice convening this meeting.
Good morning, esteemed shareholders. Before I read the notice of the meeting, I would like to give the directors the opportunity to introduce themselves.
In the absence of the chairman, I would call on Reverend Oladele to start the introduction, and we will take the order of other directors. So, Reverend Oladele, please, could you kindly introduce yourself to our listening and viewing shareholders, please?
Okay. My name is Afolabi Oladele, Director of NDEP representing African Capital Alliance.
Next will be Mr. Ede Osanade. Phone is off. Mr. Osanade.
Ede Osanade, Director.
Good morning. I am Thierry George, Director representing Petroleum Ocean Limited.
My name is Austin Oloronshola, Independent Director. Good morning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Benga Adetoru. I'm a Director representing African Capital Alliance.
Good morning. My name is Titi Omisere, and I'm the Company Secretary.
Good morning.
I would like to inform all members that despite this being a meeting of by proxy, in accordance with Section 275, Paragraph 8 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 2004, the Register of Directors shareholding is available for inspection throughout the meeting. May I now ask the Secretary to the company to read the notice convening this meeting. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby confirm that the notice convening the meeting was circulated to all shareholders entitled to notification in accordance with the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 2004. I further confirm that the instruments appointing proxies have been properly executed and lodged with the company. Notice is hereby given that the 25th Annual General Meeting of the members of Niger Delta Exploration and Production PLC will hold on Wednesday, the 17th day of June 2020 at the boardroom of the company situated at number 15, Babatunde Joseph Street Road, Victoria Island, Lagos, at 11 a.m. to transact the following ordinary business. To lay before the members the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2019 and the report of the directors, the auditors, and the statutory audit committee thereon. 2, to declare a dividend. 3, to re-elect directors retiring by rotation. 4, to reappoint the auditors. 5, to authorize the directors to determine the remuneration of the auditors. And 6, to re-elect or elect members of the statutory audit committee. This notice is dated the 26th day of May, 2020, and it is made by order of the board of Niger Delta Exploration and Production PLC. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. The chairman's statement commences from page 10 of the annual report and accounts, which has been circulated to all shareholders. At this point, we would like to take the statement of the chairman as read, if that is acceptable to you all.
Taken as read, sir.
Are there any objection?
No objection. None.
If there is no objection, the statement is taken as read. The Managing Director's statement commences from page 18 of the annual report. May I propose that we take the statement also as read, if that is acceptable to you all?
Taken as read, sir. Seconded.
Any objection?
No. None.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the report of the external auditors of the company's financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2019, which will be presented by Mr. Femi Abegunde of Deloitte and Touche. Mr. Abegunde, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, distinguished shareholders. Mr. Chairman, this is our first time of being in your presence as auditors, and I would like to crave your indulgence to say one or two words before moving to the business of the day. Mr. Chairman, we would like to appreciate the shareholders and indeed the board for appointing us, and we want to assure you that we will continue to serve in this capacity diligently and to the satisfaction of shareholders. Now to the business of the day. I will read out the auditor's report, but in order to save the time of members of the company, I will concentrate mainly on the first paragraph, which is the opinion, and then the closing paragraph, taking into cognizance that this financial statement had been circulated earlier on to shareholders. I progress. Independent Auditor's Report to the shareholders of Niger Delta Exploration and Production PLC. Report on the audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements. Opinion. We have audited the consolidated and separate financial statements of Niger Delta Exploration and Production PLC, the company, and its subsidiaries, together referred to as the group, which comprise the consolidated and separate statement of financial position as at 31 December 2019, the consolidated and separate statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, the consolidated and separate statement of changes in equity, the consolidated and separate statement of cash flows for the year then ended, the notes to the consolidated and separate financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies. In our opinion, the consolidated and separate financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of Niger Delta Exploration and Production PLC as at 31 December 2019, and of its financial performance and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards, IFRS, the Companies and Land Matters Act, CAPC 20 LFN 2004, and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act 2011. Please move with me to the last paragraph on the next page. Next 2 pages. Report on other legal and regulatory requirements. In accordance with the 6th schedule of the Companies and Land Matters Act, CAPC 20 LFN 2004, we state that we have obtained all the information and explanation which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of our account, so far as appears from my examination of those books. And 3, the consolidated and separate statement of financial position and profit or loss and other comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of account. I signed this by myself on the 2020 on behalf of Deloitte & Touche. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Femi Akinsoya, Chairman of the Statutory Audit Committee, will present the committee's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Report of the Audit Committee to the members of Niger Delta Exploration and Production PLC. In accordance with the provisions of sections 359, subsection 4 and subsection 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, we have reviewed 1, the scope and planning of the audit requirements, and 2, the accounting and reporting policies of the group and company for the year ended 31 December 2019, and ascertained that they are in accordance with legal requirements and agreed ethical practice. In our opinion, the scope and planning of the audit for the year ended 31st December 2019, together with the consolidated and separate audited financial statements, were satisfactory. The external auditors had discharged their duties conscientiously and satisfactorily. We were satisfied with management's responses to the auditor's findings. Signed by me, Olufemi Akinsoya, Chairman, Audit Committee, dated 8th May 2020. For your information, members of the Audit Committee for the year were myself as Chairman, Mr. Edi Efekola, Mr. Afolabi Oladele, Chief Bola Akinola, Mr. Cyril Udu, deceased, and Mr. Ede Osayode. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Akinsoya. The audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2019 commences from page 43 of the annual report, and the reports of the directors, auditors, and the Statutory Audit Committee have now been presented to you all. In accordance with the Corporate Affairs Commission guidelines, shareholders were requested to send their questions in 5 days before this meeting so the company could collate them. They will be read out and answered, but before that is done, I would like to give our 2 physically present shareholders the opportunity to ask any questions that they may have so that all may be addressed together. Our 2 shareholders, do you have any questions, please?
Yes, Chairman.
Yes, Alaja.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. ladies and gentlemen, I have some issues. I have suggestions as well as some questions. Not really issue, the questions. And I want to crave the indulgence of the board to please give me the chance to hear them as I have them listed on my jotter here. I want to start my comments first and foremost by congratulating the board and management of this noble company for the 25th annual general meeting. I equally congratulate you on the successful drilling and suspension of our OMA 3 and Emerelu 2, and the attainment of 10 million man-hour of crude oil without injury. 10 million man-hour without injury. It's very, very commendable, sir. I'm also commending our efforts at 2.16 billion barrels into the crude oil on the Bonny terminal. These are all very, very commendable as part of our operation during the year. Mr. Chairman, I'm also glad to note that we were able to actually get approval, the approval we got for the renewal of our mining license, which take us for another 20 years. This is by no means a big achievement on our part. I want to congratulate you on that, sir. I want to touch on our performance review. Mr. Chairman, I actually want to thank Dr. Fatono for accepting to step in quickly as our interim CEO at such a very short notice. He was able to take charge of the company on our behalf. I want to say a very big thank you to the doctor. I appreciate all his effort and his input to this company. Mr. Chairman, I also want to wish the exited CEO the best, wherever he is. I want to console us on the loss of one of our directors, Mr. Cyril Odu. May God rest his soul. Amen. Mr. Chairman, my first question is, since the exited CEO have left, are we thinking of replacement as well as the CFO? And how soon are we getting this done? Then, Mr. Chairman, on the local content initiative, with the robust workplace, health, safety, personal development of our employees, as well as distribution of donations, all these are very, very superlative, and I want to congratulate us. I will do more, especially to our host communities, so that we shall continually enjoy peace of mind to do business in that locality. Mr. Chairman, I observe on page 25 of the annual account, our revenue increased, and the interim CEO informed us of increase in sales of crude oil as a result of increase in the production activities, despite the volatility which caused drop in average and realized price. Also, revenue from sales dropped due to plant maintenance and outages of integration on our train 2 under construction. there is also a drop in the sales of our natural gas. And Mr. Chairman, my question on this is, since the era of gas flaring is actually in sight in Nigeria, when do we hope to increase our gas capacity and distribution to the markets, both locally and the outside Nigerian market? My second question, Mr. Chairman, the construction of Train 2, when is it likely to be completed? Since in relation
please
to
come again. I didn't hear that.
The construction.
Your second question.
Okay, the construction of our Train 2.
Oh, okay.
When is it likely to be completed in relation to the production of diesel, which this has a bearing upon? Mr. Chairman, I want to commend your effort at attaining 100% revenue generation in Nigeria. This is highly appreciated. I enjoined us to work harder at our foreign market too. I think we need to work more on that. Mr. Chairman, I observed that our cost of sales increased. Can we have explanation on what happened to our motor vehicles under our assets, worth 98 point something million? My take on this is, are they still with us or have they been disposed? Are they still functional? That is under the oil and gas. I would love to know, sir. Mr. Chairman, I want to know what was the fee income earned prior year, and why is it not in this year's account? Mr. Chairman, on note 17, our receivables increased from 5.199 to 8.688. I just want to say that we should watch it. We should not allow it to go under our control. It's very important. Mr. Chairman, when we come to our borrowings, I noticed that we borrowed from GT, FCMB, BOI at various interest rates, 11, 21, and 9% respectively. I was just hoping that the funds put together, I trust that they will be judiciously utilized, and I pray that they will translate into better results in the nearest future to the company. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for the dividend of 17 naira, which is 4 naira over and above what we had last year. And you know, the dividend coming at this point in time, when we have a pandemic, is I see it as our own palliative. And I want to appreciate you for this. The shareholders are indeed very, very grateful to you. The money coming handy. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, on our dry well exploration, I want to know what lesson we have brought from the incident. Please, I will need some explanation on this. And on our investment in the Hallmark and Pro Data Management Limited, I observed that they increased from what we had in the past, and I'm hoping that they will translate into a good yield to the parent company. Mr. Chairman, I want to ask that the corporate bond that was impaired for 30 million. Can we have some explanation on what entails and bring about this 30 million impairment on our side? I noticed increments on the trade and other receivables. Okay, I've spoken about that. Mr. Chairman, on page 44 of the annual account and 89, the ND refinery recorded a loss in the year, as well as we still have the cash flow deficit. So what is the reason for this? Is there any explanation for this? I hope things will turn around positively as soon as it is possible. I want to dwell on the unclaimed dividends. There's no doubt that we have a very good registrars, but I still enjoy them to do more, to reach out more. I know they've been doing that a lot, but for one reason or the other, you find out that some shareholders have not been forthcoming in taking up their dividends, but I still want them to do more so that more people will come, and we will now decrease this figure we are seeing in the accounts. And I want to know how much of this dividend we are talking about has actually gone statutory. On page 36 of the annual accounts, which is under corporate governance, I actually want to commend the high attendance on the part of our directors. Very, very commendable, sir. And I want to, it shows commitment and seriousness of purpose. And I want to enjoy the Audit Committee members to toe that line. Mr. Chairman, I want to ask a basic question. When are we coming to be listed in the capital market? And what has
When are we going to do what, please?
When are we coming to be listed in the capital market, in the quoted capital market? And what has been the mitigating problems against us doing this, all this while? Mr. Chairman, lastly, I want to ask what our plan for and immediately after this pandemic regarding our business, especially the global outlook and the local outlook, and the faith of our staff as our tools. Mr. Chairman, I want to commend you lastly and applaud the board and management for the account that we are looking at today. It is very, very encouraging, and I pray to God to give you the wisdom, divine direction to continue in this path. I also want to pray for our founding fathers who are late. May God rest their souls, and the living ones, God continue to keep them alive for us for a long time. Thank you very much, sir. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Alaja. Would we take the second representative so that we can take the questions together?
Yes, please, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Firstly, I would just like to thank and commend the chairman, the directors, and all the staff of NDEP for the excellent job they did in 2019. And for the generous dividend that has been declared for shareholders. Thank you to Alaja as well for the questions that she's asked. She's kind of touched on a lot of the things that I was going to ask, but I'll just add two more questions to what Alaja has asked. The first one is, how has the company managed possible exchange rate fluctuation, especially now that things are a bit hectic with the economy? And the second question was on staff, which you kind of mentioned that as well. Are there any planned redundancy due to COVID-19 planned in the company as well? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Madam Registrars, did you have any written questions that we can just take all of them in one swoop, or should we just go ahead with this that we have already?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The registrars didn't receive any written questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I will take some of the questions, and then those that I do not take, I will leave to the CEO to please take. First of all, in the same way as Alaja commended Dr. Fatono for stepping in October last year, I mean, the entire board is grateful for him being available to step in. And as soon as he stepped in, he made it very clear that it was an interim assignment for him. As a matter of fact, he had indicated that he expected things would not last beyond 6 months. But as we all witnessed, October to March were already in the middle of the pandemic. And basically all the efforts that had been made in terms of recruitment had to be rolled back for us to be able to put plans in place to make the company to continue to operate. I would like to assure the shareholders that a committee of the board in which the interim CEO is also represented is working on the recruitment of 3 key executives that we believe are crucial to driving the company's progress forward. I am sure that before the year is out, we would have put in place an effective CEO and the other 2 positions which have been spoken to. Again, I want to, on behalf of the board and the shareholders, say thank you to Dr. Lai Fatono for being readily available and for the hard work that he has put in. We know the pressure that he has gone through, particularly during this last couple of months that the pandemic has been. You raised a question with respect to the construction or the completion of Train 2. Train 2 indeed had been completed, commissioned, and we actually have a license to operate from the Department of Petroleum Resources, and that's one other credit that goes to Mr. Dr. Adetono and his management team. I would like to talk the issue of increase in cost of sales, the fee income, as well as the bond that you asked. I would love to leave that to management. But when you spoke about borrowings and its utilization of borrowings for effectiveness, I want to assure all the shareholders that with the help of those funds that were borrowed, they expedited the completion of Train 2, and Train 3 of the refinery is actually about 80% complete. And by the time all the issues of travels have been removed, you will be able to have all the 2 trains, Trains 2 and 3, properly commissioned and producing for the market. Now, you talk about the dry well. In this business, dry wells are also part of the story. It's not all the wells that come out successful. And as a matter of fact, the well that is considered, that you consider dry or reported dry, it's not as though there wasn't anything discovered. There were reservoirs of oil, just that they were not at the volumes that we anticipated. And that's the way I will put it. But dry wells are part of the business, and it's part of the risk that we learn to take. Speaking to Hallmark and Petrodata investments, these are investments that are high yield in terms of the dividends that we've gotten from these entities. And please be assured, to the extent that this may not be directly oil and gas business, in the structuring of the company that has been undertaken, all of these ones have been warehoused in a way that it can be effectively managed so that we can report whatever the earnings that come from those 2 investments. I will leave the bond, unclaimed dividend, increase in cost of sales, and the fee income I will leave all of that to the CEO. But before I turn this over, you talked about when are we going to be listed? The amount of work that it takes to get listed is not small. And I can assure the shareholders that work is being done to put things in process. I do recall that the board actually had a full meeting with the chief of the NSE, Nigerian Stock Exchange, who came to address us and gave us the steps that we needed to take. It's those steps that we are working on, and I do hope when we are able to, by the time we are having the next AGM, we will be able to report to you as to how far we have gone on the road. But we have it at the very top of the priority for the board of the company to get these things done, be compliant, and then we will go to the market. Lastly, you talked about post-pandemic. What's our plan? I think the CEO is best placed to put that. I would not want to burden the chairman of our strategy committee, who has started over all the different things that have been proposed. It's in the place of the CEO to report back. Now, in the management of exchange rates, I will leave that also to the CEO. And with respect to planned redundancy, I want to assure you that we have no plans at this time to lay off any of our people. We recognize that people are most valued resource, and we continue to treat them so. Dr. Fatono, please, would you take the remaining questions that have been raised?
Thank you very much, Reverend Adele and Alhaji Akutaisi. Thank you so much for your very incisive drill through the audited financial statements.
Please unmute him. We can't hear him.
I hope you can hear me now.
Can the host please unmute Dr. Fatono, please?
I hope I can be. Is everybody hearing me?
I think you are muted. You are muted.
Can you hear me now? No, my battery is okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
good.
I hope everybody can hear me now.
Yes.
I was thanking Elijah for a very, very incisive annual report. And thank you, Reverend Adele, for many of the answers that you have given. You've actually made my explanations a little bit much easier. Let me come to the first matter of the way we manage the funds of the company. I want to let Elijah know, as well as our shareholders, that our income essentially is protected because most of our revenue is in dollars, and therefore, indeed, whatever it is, it must mean that we are hedged positively in favor of the Naira. So there's really not much concern. We don't do much of borrowing in Naira. And indeed, whatever you see by way of borrowing, it is at a very containable, sustainable pace for repayment. You talked about the fact that ND refineries didn't make money, but I want to assure you that this is the start of a new company, and the most important thing is that most of last year the company was burning a lot of money. It was at the peak of its construction for phase 2 or train 2, which Reverend Adele has explained to you. In the last 2 weeks, we got a formal approval from the regulator to start running the refinery. You talked about cost of sales increase. Again, this is a very, very prudent way to ensure that we can write off some of our assets, in particular, the well that we drilled in OPL 227. And this is a one-off situation, and I can assure you that as we progress with the running of the accounts of the company year in, year out, this is not something to worry too much about. You asked about corporate bond impairment. It is non-cash, and it's just, as I can say, again, an accounting estimate. For motor vehicles, which were reclassified, and other assets, they are just reclassified, they weren't sold as such. So they are still very much part of the company assets, and as of today, they are still being put into very, very effective and constructive use. So I can also let you know that in the coming years, with the completion of Train 2 and Train 3, once these are hooked up and they are in top rate of performance, you will start to see the positive contribution this side of the business will add into the coffers of the company. You talked about what is the company going to do in terms of the pandemic. I can assure you that this company is very well positioned today, better than it was yesterday. If you have been watching the trend of the economy, the federal government has deregulated all aspects of pricing for refined products. And it couldn't have come at any better time than now. We have substantially invested in refining, and therefore we are very, very well positioned to take benefit of this divestment of government regulations. The pandemic has come at a time when nobody was prepared for it, but you must recognize that we pay very specific high premium on our staff. They are indeed the engine of the company. And therefore, our first line of responsibility is to ensure that many of our staff, indeed all of them, have very, very little anxieties. As a matter of fact, 2 days ago, I had the benefit of addressing all the staff of the company. And I was assuring them that as a company, we are very, very, very conscious of their anxieties. We believe that the company will be able to weather the storm of these unusual circumstances with the barest minimum of collateral damage and redundancies. We have always had what I call adequacy of staffing, and therefore the surplus that you may expect that the company may have to do away with really does not exist in the company. So I just want to assure the shareholders that there's a lot of thinking for the well-being of our staff. In terms of global and local outlook, again, what I would like the shareholders to be aware of is that the Nigerian petroleum industry is still to find its fate. There's very, very wide spectrum for development. And I think within the confines of our company, that realm of development exists. We can see it, and I think the company is very well positioned to take advantage of it. So as a company, our future is in the best of the expectations of directors and shareholders. It's very well protected, and I can actually assure shareholders that the company is on the trend of growth, with or without the concerns that are very, very prevalent in the global outlook. I think basically that is all the issues you have raised, and I want to thank you again for the very, very passionate and very, very detailed scrutiny of the 2019 audited financial statements. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for giving me the floor to make these few explanations.
Thank you. I thought I saw the substantive chairman on the screen just now.
Well,
Okay.
you are seeing a lot more than we are seeing here. So if it's there, I would like to.
No.
Oh yes.
No. No. No, it's not there.
No, not yet. Apparently, if he's able to come in. Oh, he's coming in. Okay.
But he's not there yet. Okay.
He faded off again. Oh, he's there.
No, he hasn't shown up.
Chairman, sir, you are back.
I think he's there now.
Yes. We are on page number 4.
Yes, finally. Thank you so very much.
So you are taking over.
Where are we in the proceedings, please?
That's what I was saying. We are now on page number 4.
Hello?
Chairman, we're on page number 4.
Okay.
And just the questions have all been answered. So you are taking off from in the absence of any further questions.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, shareholders, for your patience. As you know, with technical things, often we have glitches, and I wasn't able to join until now. However, of course, my colleagues have extremely ably commenced proceedings, and I'm very happy to join at this point. Right. Do we have any other questions? Or do we have any questions?
I think all questions have been dealt with, and we're just going on to the adoption of the accounts. And that would be on page 5 of the proceedings.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
In the absence of any further questions.
In the absence of any further question, indeed, yes. I hereby move that the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2019, together with the reports of the directors, of the auditors, and of the audit committee thereon, respectively, be and hereby approved. We'll be following the special procedure laid on for approvals of resolutions for this meeting, which will be addressed by our registrars.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
In terms of the, how the voting went in approval or otherwise of this motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Esteemed shareholders, please be informed that we have captured the voting details for the 448 shareholders received by proxy and holding 110,880,506 shares of Niger Delta Exploration and Production, and representing 51.04% of the issued and fully paid shares of the company. Upon declaration of the resolution by the chairman, the votes cast will be displayed and read out, and then the chairman would announce the result. Thank you.
Okay. Will the votes be displayed now? Yes.
We have the result. The result is hereby displayed. Excuse me. We have 449 shareholders who have voted in favor of the resolution, holding 110,883,626 units and representing 100%. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Yeah. So accordingly, the resolution has been substantially approved. The next item on the agenda is the declaration of dividends pursuant to Section 379, subsection 1 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, as well as the provisions of our Memorandum and Articles of Association, Article 108. The company may, in general meeting, declare dividends for the year in respect of which the accounts are being considered on the recommendation of the directors. The directors have so recommended, and accordingly, I propose the following motion: that a dividend of 17 naira per ordinary share be paid to members whose names appear on the register of members as at the close of business on the 29th of May 2020. Will a shareholder kindly second the motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Alaja Abuda is so second.
Thank you. With the registrar, thank you. Will the registrars kindly let us know how the voting went?
In the second resolution, the result is hereby displayed. Excuse me, please. To declare a dividend, we have 449 shareholders who have voted in favor, holding 110,883,626 shares and representing 100%. Thank you. The result has been read, Mr. Chairman, sir.
What's her name? I think it's gone.
Mr. Chairman, are you still there, or have we lost you again?
Oh dear.
It is looking like we've lost him again.
It is. Oh dear.
And I'll be asking the proxy chairman to please step in and continue with the proceedings.
Okay. The resolution having been declared by the chairman and duly seconded, and the votes already displayed, this resolution is considered approved. Before we move to the next item on the agenda, which is the re-election of directors retiring by rotation, I would like to disclose, in accordance with Section 252, Section 1, Paragraph 1 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, that both Dr. Fatono and Mr. Lade Jadesimi are over 70 years of age. Now to the election of directors retiring by rotation in accordance with Section 259 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 2004, I have been informed by the company secretary that Mr. Thierry George, Mr. Austin Olorunshola, and Chief Lade Jadesimi are due to retire by rotation this year. Being permitted by the company's Articles of Association, Mr. Lade Jadesimi offers himself for re-election, and I hereby call on Messrs. Theory George and Austin Olorunshola to indicate their willingness or otherwise to offer themselves for re-election.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Thierry George, and I do humbly offer myself for re-election.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, esteemed shareholders. I do humbly offer myself for re-election. Thank you.
Now that each of the directors retiring by rotation have indicated their respective willingness to present themselves for re-election, for convenience, may I move that the re-election of the 3 directors be handled in a single resolution? Will a shareholder please second this motion?
I saw you, Mr. Chairman, Acting Chairman. I'm Alaja Kudaisi. I saw second that motion.
Will a shareholder please second this motion?
I have, sir. I second that
thank
motion.
you. Thank you, Alaja. I thank the shareholders for consenting to re-elect retiring directors by a single. Okay, the resolution haven't been declared and duly seconded. Will the registrars please show how the voting went?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can we have the results displayed? Thank you. The result is hereby displayed. On the election of the directors retiring by rotation, we have 447 shareholders who have voted in favor of that resolution and holding 110,762,426 shares, representing 99.89%. And then we have 2 shareholders who have voted against the resolution, holding 121,200 shares and representing 0.11%. Thank you.
Thank you. The resolution having been declared and duly seconded and the votes cast displayed and read out by the registrar, I hereby, where is this now? I hereby further move that Mr. Austin Olorunshola, being a director, retiring by rotation and presenting himself for re-election at this meeting, no, excuse me. Thank you, shareholders, for returning both Messrs. Ladijade Simi, Mr. Austin Olorunshola, as well as Theory George as directors. I will return control of the proceedings now to the chairman, Mr. Ladijade Simi.
Thank you very much indeed, Governor Ladile. And I also thank you, our director, our shareholders, for having re-elected the 3 of us to the board of your company. The next 2 items on the agenda are for the reappointment of the auditors and the authorization of the directors to determine the remuneration of the auditors. Both will be taken together. Deloitte & Touche served as auditors of the company for the accounting year ended 31st December 2019, and they have indicated their willingness to continue to render their services to the company. May I hereby move that Deloitte & Touche continue to serve as the auditors to our company, and that the directors be and are hereby authorized to determine the remuneration of the auditors for the current accounting year, which will end in 31st of December 2020. Will a shareholder kindly second the motion? Is seconded?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, seconded, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
The motion having been proposed and seconded, will the registrars kindly display the result of the voting?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The result is hereby displayed. We have 448 shareholders who have voted in favor of the resolution and holding 110,864,361 units and representing 99.98%. And we have one shareholder who has voted against the resolution, holding 19,265 shares, representing 0.02%. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, the next item on today's agenda is a membership of the Audit Committee. And before taking that particular item on the agenda, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the current members of the Audit Committee for the tremendous work they did for the 2019 financial year. On behalf of all the shareholders, our thanks goes to them. The company secretary has advised that by virtue of Section 3594 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C 20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, membership of the Audit Committee is made up of an equal number of directors as well as an equal number of the representatives of the shareholders, subject to a maximum of 6 members. For the 2020 financial year, the Board of Directors resolved to nominate Reverend Afolabi Oladele, Mr. Ede Osonyade, and Mr. Gbenga Adetoro as the directors to represent the board on the Audit Committee. She further confirmed that nominations were received at least 21 days before this meeting, as required by Section 359, subsection 5 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and that all gentlemen have indicated their willingness to continue to serve in that capacity. I'm also informed by the Secretary that a nomination was received for the election of Mr. Erinfolami Ololade Gafar as a shareholder representative on the Audit Committee, in compliance with the provisions of Section 359, subsection 5 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. With the membership limited, as earlier indicated, we now have to vote to fill the 3 shareholder representative slots on the committee from the 4 nominations received. And of course, as always, the 3 nominees with the highest number of votes, as evidenced by your votes, as indicated on your respective proxy forms, shall be appointed to the committee. At this point, I would
Okay, it's gone. Huh? It's coming back. It's coming back.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
the company registrars.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In accordance with Section 225 Number 3 of Kama, the election of the members to the Audit Committee shall be done by show of hands. Accordingly, we have collated the results using the proxies received, and we hereby display the result for each candidate. Can the result be displayed, please? Thank you. We have Mr. Bola Akinola with 387 votes. We have Mr. Kisoya with 383 votes. We have Mr. Eddie Efekoha with 383 votes. And we have Mr. Eri Folami Gafar with 134 votes. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary and Registrar, sorry. As we saw on the displayed results of the votes cast, the members of the representatives of the shareholders on the Statutory Audit Committee for the current year, which will end December 31st, 2020, are as follows. Mr. Femi Akisoya, Chief Bola Akinola, and Mr. Eddie Epekoha. I therefore declare that they are newly and duly elected as your representatives on the Statutory Audit Committee. At this point, I would like to thank our shareholders for their loyalty and for the zeal and interest that they continue to show in the affairs of our company. And I'll just give 2 instances to mark that. One is the attendance generally at these meetings, but more importantly, where we have questions asked, these are always very, very useful pointers to the management and the board, and very perceptive observations, which the board and management truly, truly appreciate. I would also like to, on behalf of the shareholders, thank very, very warmly indeed the executive directors as well as the management and staff of our company for the literally incredible job that they continue to do, even in the midst of this pandemic. The board paid a visit to our flow station sometime late last year, and a visit there would not only be very impressive in terms of our footprint, but in my view, by far the most important aspect that impressed all of us was the zeal and the dedication of all our members of staff who are deployed on the flow station. They keep the oil flowing, they keep the gas and the gas processing working, they keep the refinery working and in good order. It was most impressive. So I'm sure that all the shareholders will join me in extremely warmly appreciating all our members of staff for their incredible hard work and dedication, which of course is evident by the results that the company year on year keeps on posting. So our thanks goes to them. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the ordinary business of this general meeting as defined by Section 214 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C 20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. In accordance with the guidelines provided by the Corporate Affairs Commission, the CAC, for the holding of annual general meetings by virtual means during the current COVID-19 pandemic that is ravaging the entire universe. No special business shall be taken at this meeting. I hereby declare that the 25th Annual General Meeting of Niger Delta Exploration and Production PLC be hereby brought to a formal close. And in doing so, especially given the fact that we're going through unprecedented plague, really, worldwide, we really need the continuing good favors from above. And I'll call on Mr. Kunle Aluko to kindly lead us in a brief closing prayer. Thank you, Mr. Aluko.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us pray.
Okay.
We thank you, Heavenly Father, for the success of this annual general meeting. And we thank you especially for the success, the continued success of Niger Delta since its modest beginnings. We pray for the leadership of this country and of the world in general for a lasting cure for COVID-19, so that when we do come together in another year, we will have cause to glorify your holy name. In Jesus Christ's name I pray. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Amen.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Elijah, thank you
Ladies
very
and
much.
gentlemen,
Thank you.
and
Thank you very
have a
much.
good day.
Congratulations.
Well done.
Thank you, Chairman.
Olufemi.
Thank you.